Alright mate, Slimehead here, and don't crucify me for this, but I did vote for the Sniffer. Whoa, hey, slow down. Don't get the crosses out. Let's be honest, we didn't know that the Sniffers were going to be this bare bones or this weirdly awkward to get. And I mean, in the War Motion Ruins are only a 6 point... I'm not saying that. But the point is, they're rare and they don't exactly do anything, which is the main criticism that the community has with them. I mean, yeah, they drop like 2 plants, but those 2 plants don't really do anything on their own, and by extension, neither does the Sniffer. And at one point in development, there was going to be plans for a 3rd plant, and possibly even a 4th if we go from the trailer, but neither of those happened. Why? If they could dig up more plants, it'd feel a little more worthwhile. Especially if the plants had actual uses. I mean, the torch flower doesn't really glow, but then again, neither does the torch lily in real life. That's probably a thing that the Minecraft community should know, but doesn't know, that the torch flower and pitcher plants are actually real plants, by the way. Now, dozens of people out there have already came up with their own ideas of what the torch flower and the pitcher plant should do. And instead, what we're going to do is brainstorm what other plants that the Sniffers could possibly dig up. Now, I wanted to stick to a bit of a theme here. Sniffers are said to be dinosaurs, or dinosaur-like, which, I mean, what is that? Why did they have 6 legs? Anyway, it's for this reason that I've looked into prehistoric plants and came up with a handful that I think would actually fit quite well into Minecraft for one reason or another. Probably seen this one in a lot of dinosaur documentaries or in paleo art or anything like that, but the monkey puzzle tree. Also known as the Purin, it first evolved during the Jurassic period and is native to South America in areas like Chile, for example. Other than the unusual canopy it's got, possibly one of the most notable features about this tree is the strange sharp leaves it's got. And I can tell from personal experience that they are very sharp and do hurt a lot, especially whenever they jab you in the side of the leg. Despite the fact that they are sold in some places like garden centres and the like, they are actually in fact an endangered species, and some places actually do eat the seeds of this plant. Now in Minecraft, I suppose they could possibly make its wood maybe greenish to go along with the scaly leaves it's got growing along the trunk, or possibly even make 2 kinds of logs that you can get from it, a standard log and a leafy log, I guess. And seeing as the nuts are edible in real life, they could possibly even add like a new pine nut food, because Minecraft hasn't added in a new food in quite a long time now. Now, not quite as ancient, but iconically prehistoric nonetheless, there's the ginkgo tree. It was actually believed to be extinct for quite a long time, but then they just discovered that people were growing these things all over East Asia. Ginkgos have got unique, almost clover-shaped leaves, which actually turn a golden colour in the autumn. But that's not even the most remarkable things about these trees. These trees are incredibly hardy. Not only are they very tolerant of different climates, pollution levels, and even diseases, but they can actually live for over a few thousand years, which is incredible. In fact, quite famously, 6 of these trees actually survived the infamous atomic bombs that hit Japan in World War II. And as a result, they've been named the survivor trees, or the Hibaku Jimoku, if I've pronounced that correctly. All things considered, for a living organism, that is an absolutely incredible feat of durability. The only thing I can see with the developers feeling a bit iffy about with this tree is that the seeds are actually toxic, and quite dangerously so. But then again, they did actually add acacia trees into the game, and many varieties of acacias are actually toxic. Now, if they did actually add ginkgos into the game, they could probably make the wood like a gold colour to, of course, reference the leaves. But ginkgos are actually used in making certain kinds of dyes in real life anyway, so they could possibly reference that. There's also the cycad, which is a plant that resembles, well, very superficially a palm tree or a fern, but it's not really related to either of them. Despite evolving back in the Permian era, which is before the dinosaurs were even around, cycads are actually still around today, but they're typically only found in equatorial countries like Ecuador, Mozambique and Indonesia. And despite being around for over 300 million years, they are actually now endangered, quite sadly. Most of the living species of cycads are actually quite short and bush-like, but there are some species that can actually grow a few meters tall, making them, again, superficially resemble palm trees. They also have a very weird texture to them, which can only really describe as almost like a crocodile skin, and to add to the weirdness, they have a very large red pine cone structure on the top of them. And they're also quite insect resistant, producing some form of natural insecticide. This could possibly be adapted to a block that scares away arthropod mobs. It would at least stop spiders from getting jammed in the top corner of all the mob farms everyone's making. Think of it as kind of a spider force field, I guess. That's a funny image, that. Or I guess it might be a weird way of getting petrified wood slabs. Maybe. And to stop the whole zero botanists going after me with the oops, all gymnosperms, let's hop over to ferns. Now, ferns are already in Minecraft, but there's not actually a way of getting renewable ferns in Java version for some reason. And they do actually fit the criteria of this video, because ferns actually first evolved in the Devonian period, which was way before most animals even adapted to life on land. Now, this next part is kind of cheating because they're not actually plants, and I know some people might say, oh, this is a reason to crucify you, but I'm going to bring up mushrooms. Now, in old versions of Minecraft, mushrooms used to be super plentiful and used to be everywhere and used to spread like wildfire. And then the developers nerfed them. And then they removed the line of code that let them spawn in caves. And if you think that's not bad enough, they recently just nerfed the mushroom again by making it so they can't even grow in direct sunlight for some reason. It's as if Jeb is just stood there and beating these things to death with a sledgehammer at this point. At this point, just slap them on the sniffer as some bonus that they can dig up. It would at least be better than waiting 6 hours for them to grow in a farm. So, I kind of want to see what you guys think about this whole thing. Do you think there's probably better plant options or better things to do with the sniffer than what I've suggested? Because I'd actually love to see what people would say about this in the comments. Not that I really expect many people to actually watch this video, but then again, the video on frog lights did absolutely incredibly, especially compared to other stuff on my channel. I do wonder if the thumbnail was kind of too rage baity though, and that's why a lot of people clicked on it. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I did actually read pretty much all of the comments on that video, and there's a few that I wanted to talk about because I thought they were quite interesting. First of all, one of them was actually about how I pronounce Mojang. So what I'm aware is that Scandinavian languages pronounce a J as a Y sound. So I believe in Swedish, now I don't actually speak the language, it would actually be pronounced Mojang. But I do know in a lot of the developer interviews they do actually pronounce it Mojang. And there was even that weird song that Notch composed for one of the early versions of Alpha, which even pronounces it as Mojang. According to Dinnerbone, there isn't even an official pronunciation of the word, so it's literally whatever. I do actually want to correct something I did say in the frog light video, where I said that only orange frogs spawn naturally, but I completely forgot about the white frogs that spawn in the mangrove forest. Kind of shows that I don't really visit that biome a lot. People also pointed out that the solution that I came up with for a better way of getting frog lights was also kind of odd. They kind of pointed out that I should have just said, give the frogs magma cream directly, and that would have just solved pretty much everything. Single-handedly making me feel even more like a muppet. The general response to the video was actually quite interesting to see, because a good number of the comments said they didn't even know what frog lights even were. There were also those who did know what frog lights were, but they just thought it was too awkward to get. There was a good number of people who commented that actually did get frog lights in survival, but even they agreed it was a bit awkward. And there was an even smaller minority of people who disagreed and said that frog lights should be hard to get. And there was one or two handfuls of you should just play creative mode kind of comments. Some of the people who disagreed actually claimed that I had disabled dislikes on the videos, and I'd not actually messed with any of the settings. Strange too, because whenever I actually checked these comments, the video in fact did have 6% dislikes, so I don't know what's happening there. I'm just going to say blame YouTube, because YouTube likes messing around with features that nobody asked for. There was also this one comment that kind of made me laugh, where a guy said I kind of sounded a bit like Shrek somehow, which is odd because I'm English and not Scottish. But anyway, thanks for sitting around and listening to me waffle on about prehistoric plants and that, and next time, I don't know what I'll do next time, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye!